Hi, good afternoon everybody and welcome back to this last session of the day. Basically I had a few discussions outside and I was wondering if there's anybody who may have additional questions that we may not have covered during the morning session that we can address now before Christine goes into the to the summary of what we've done today. Okay, all right, so basically I got a question from Charles regarding the way the data is used in terms of what is constituted in the details of the database that we've shown you last. The database that we've shown you, the CompuStat database, as I've mentioned, is publicly traded companies. So although they may look, in some cases, some tax authorities or advisors tend to get the confused idea that because they are publicly traded companies, they've got transfer pricing issues between or amongst the group companies. But what we have in the database is consolidated company financials. So the consolidated company financials means that we have gotten rid of all the transfer pricing issues related to those or to that particular financial figure which is reported in the database. So with that, we don't need to subject the content or the data or the comparables to further scrutiny, for example, like the 25%, 20% threshold, because it's not necessary. The financials are all consolidated. What we are testing is the functions performed, the risks assumed, which is something that you look at the database and you look at the SIC code. For example, if you're looking at distribution companies, you go to the SIC code which has distribution activities in it. So those are the companies that you will be comparing to. If your tested party, for example, is a manufacturer, what you do is you go to SIC code with representative manufacturing companies. That's what you would be subjecting your comparability analysis with, of course, the reassurance that the data that you're looking at and you're analyzing is audited company financials. So it's much more reliable as opposed, of course, to the private data that you could have otherwise used. So for us, the subject is, we start from a bottom-up rather than the sort of top-down approach, as Charles mentioned, which is the sort of industry norm. And this is not just here in Africa. It's a practice that's worldwide, apart, of course, from the US. The US tend to take the same approach as we do. But again, the US has got a much more advanced transfer pricing regime than any country in the world. In fact, the OECD guidelines, came from or were born out of the US transfer pricing regs. But in Europe, they've got the same approach as well. It's very much top-down. So you do a search, you come up with very large set of companies, and you subject those to further, and you narrow it down. But here, as you saw, we start out building the list of companies, and we extend it to the nearest neighbor based on objective criteria. For example, we want to say, well, we couldn't find a set of comparables in South Africa. So what do we do next? Let's look in SADC, for example, or SADC countries, right? If we can't find companies within SADC or reasonable amount or reasonable set of comparables in this region, then we extend it further. And what's the next best thing? The next best thing would be to look at trading partners of South Africa, namely the ones in the Far East, because they've got the same GDP per capita, they've got the same issues, rather than us looking into Europe, which has got different financial issues than Africa. We look to trading partners that are closer. Again, if we can't then find that, then we expand further to look for comparables worldwide. So you're building your search as you go along the process, rather than narrowing down a set of 800,000, to